When we're kids, our biggest fear is the dark. How come? We're vulnerable. We don't have as much control over what is waiting for us and how we react to endless possibilities. As we grow up and become students, our biggest fear becomes test anxiety because we don't have as much control over our performance or grade in comparison to a long-term project or an at-home assignment. No matter how much we try to plan our lives, life follows its own course. Arguably, not sticking to your plan fosters you to achieve more than you ever imagined in the first place. Confining yourself to an idealized future limits yourself, as it doesn't take into account moments you don't foresee. These are moments of strength that test you in exceptional circumstances and enable you to learn more about yourself. I'd like to share with you a Romanian proverb that epitomizes my mentality on life, and it goes like this. Ce alto e pus deoparte, which translates to, what is yours is put aside for you. If you grapple with overthinking, you know that there are times where you wish you'd have a time machine so you could fast forward to the future or go back in the past and remedy a mistake that you're still hung up on. What I've learned is that spending sleepless nights worrying about something that is out of my control doesn't do anything. However, getting enough rest and looking at the same problem the very next day will enable me to have a rational and collected demeanor, making me realize that I am more than capable and you are more than capable to take it on. It is undeniable that we are controlling in nature. We crave stability and dream of living a life that is healthy, happy, successful, and meaningful. We aspire to do everything in our power to achieve the aforementioned. Hence, not being able to manipulate every single thing in our life amplifies our fear of failing to achieve our goals. Resisting change is counterproductive. It's as if staying in the past because we are currently upset with our present. No matter what we do, change is going to occur. It is inevitable. But I think it's important to keep in mind that it doesn't have to have negative connotations. The positive aspect of change is that we can always improve our current situation and find the resilience to overcome hardships and obstacles. Nothing is permanent. Hence, nothing should make us feel as if there is no turning point. We can always rewrite the pages of our stories. I'd now like to share with you a story that has truly inspired me, and it's why I was able to recognize the volatility of change. And it's thanks to my volunteering efforts at the Funden Oncological Institute. Within the service program that I've been leading for the past 2 years, we, a group of students here, pay frequent visits to child patients diagnosed with cancer. Our aim is to visit them and spend a few happy hours with them as individuals who aren't doctors or family members in their playroom. Without fail, every single one of my trips to this hospital has made a hurricane of contradicting emotions come over me. The sweet patients are so excited to get to know me, learn my favorite color, and get to know my name and my hobbies. Despite all of the fear that they're experiencing surrounding their volatile futures, they're curious and they want to make new friends. I have the pleasure of hearing their innocent and optimistic answers about themselves and witnessing the insurmountable love they have for others. I also get to learn about their great plans to improve this world. I don't think there's been a time when I've come home after this trip and I wasn't teary-eyed knowing that these children's fates are subjected to a magnitude of uncertainty. The hospital would be nothing but cold and stale without the laughter and smiles of these children. Although parents have thanked me for instilling hope and kindness in their children, all of these encounters have made me treasure everything life has to offer, positive and negative occurrences. As heartwarming as it may be, seeing patients aged 3 to 18 in so much pain, struggling to perform tasks that we'd consider effortless, makes you question why you, of all people, got so lucky with your health. Whenever I volunteer, I'm face to face with one of life's most genuine and consequential problems, our health, which is too frequently taken for granted. This March, I decided to challenge myself and visit a patient who wasn't well enough to join us in the playroom. My goal was to spread some joy and kindness to this individual. My heart sank when I found out that the person on the opposite side of the door was no one other than a dear friend of mine whom I'd last seen last summer during the break. For privacy reasons, we'll call my friend Maya. The last time I was with Maya, we were singing, dancing, taking photos, and stuffing our faces in cotton candy, just like any two normal teenage girls who feel like the main characters of every day of summer. My memory of that day is so vivid, it's almost tangible. When we locked eyes in the hospital room, Maya had informed me that she is diagnosed with bone sarcoma. The affected area is her leg and can therefore no longer dance. Everything went silent. I couldn't imagine what it was like to have your passion taken away from you. I couldn't fathom what I just learned. What are the chances that my dear friend, whose eyes shined every time she was on the dance floor, gets diagnosed with a rare type of cancer that, according to Penn Medicine, accounts for less than 1% of all diagnosed cancers? Since her hospitalization in the fall, Maya told me that she can no longer go to school. Her teachers are now volunteers at the hospital, just like me, but who share their time teaching at Romanian public schools and at the hospital. This is undoubtedly a drastic and significant change because education plays such a vital role in our lives. Solely getting an education that ends once finishing high school equates to 15% of your life. This is especially notable because the Romanian educational system has a deeply rooted sense of community and routine, as all of your classmates stay the same throughout all years of your schooling. Maya losing touch with her routine reality and everything she was familiarized with prior to her diagnosis definitely turned her entire universe upside down. However, she was able to find the strength and accept and also adapt to the unknown. Seeing Maya in such an unconventional and disheartened circumstance made me ponder how trivial all of our daily anxieties and worries are in comparison to the uncertainties a child with a plummeting health needs to live with. Despite all this, Maya and all of the children I've had the pleasure of meeting have so much warmth, compassion, and desire to live. You can see it in their eyes. I guess the saying, "the eyes are the windows to the soul," truly stands. I'd now like to share a few strategies that I genuinely believe make change tolerable and beneficial rather than hazardous. Firstly, recognize the law of constant change. Essentially, change is universal. It appears in relationships, careers, businesses, space, and as we grow older. No matter what we do, To prevent change, it manifests because, once again, it is inevitable. Hence, we should try to change our perception from viewing change as a burden to seeing it as an opportunity for us to try something that we wouldn't have done if we had stuck to our pre-existing routine. Maya's main takeaway from her hospitalization is that life is meaningless without a stable and sound health. She reflected that her stress that was generated because of her grades significantly harmed her health, and she now prioritizes positive aspects of life that make life worth living, such as spending time with loved ones. Fortunately, she shares her camaraderie with her mother every single day as they explore narratives of shows such as Gilmore Girls and Anne with an E. Maya confided in me by telling me that this has been the most time she's ever spent with her mother, let alone watching shows from her favorite genre. Secondly, don't just focus on your end goal. Take into account the effort you need to put in to get there. When we hyperfixate on our outcome or end result, we tend to be more rigid when we encounter deviations from our original plan. This is why comprehending the potential efforts that we need to put into place in order to attain our goals will not only allow us to better adjust to unforeseen circumstances, but to also be more graceful with ourselves and confident. Maya does this through her mature outlook on life, which is making the most of every moment by staying in the present and also maintaining her faith and positivity. This is especially impressive because it enables doctors to spread her positive mindset toward her sickness to other patients who are in need of moralizing and encouraging words. Maya's given me an update, and thankfully she's feeling well enough to visit her father and little sister who are eagerly waiting for her at home. My sweet friend told me and taught me to never despair, to process weighty information and trust those who have your best interests at heart. She also taught me to be empathetic to whomever I meet, because you never know what a few encouraging words can do to someone who has been helpless and has been struggling lately. Thirdly, take risks. Voluntarily put yourself outside of your comfort zone and expose yourself as often as you can to change. Why, you might ask? The more familiarized and comfortable you become with change, the more effectively and less fearfully you will react to the unexpected changes life will throw at you, and it will help you gain a better sense of control. Maya told me that although she was extremely apprehensive at trying the hospital's new schooling system, she has found that her relationship with her education has significantly improved. This is because she no longer fears school bullies or strict deadlines. If she doesn't feel well, she isn't forced to go to class. Because her needs are respected and met, she feels as though she can approach her learning authentically and be as genuine without fearing judgment or any discouraging comments from others. The way I put myself outside of my comfort zone is by continuing to volunteer at this hospital and not let other people's comments, such as, "Are you sure you're strong enough to get through this?" get to me. Yes, it was very difficult not to fall apart in front of Maya after she had told me that she had been in pain for multiple months in a row and she didn't know the cause. However, this isn't about me. I can't afford to take away the excitement that I see generated because of my visits to these children. Whenever my visits come to an end, I get a big group hug and I get asked impatiently when they'll see me next. Whatever sadness I have is overpowered by the satisfaction I have knowing that I was able to make a few kind children smile that day. I also think that it's important to expose yourself more often to risks such as change because it gives you a better understanding of who you are. And in my opinion, this is the purpose of life, looking at every experience productively to better get a sense of who you are and what you stand for. We need to carry on the legacy of Maya and these empowering children, because if they can do it, we have no reason not to. I encourage you all to be as optimistic as them. Fear, which is a man-made product, is what stops us from achieving our potential. We doubt ourselves and refuse ourselves certain opportunities that satisfy our desires and dreams and help us grow. This is a form of self-sabotage, and I won't let it get in the way of what my heart yearns for, and encourage you all to do the same. Don't let fear of the unknown dominate your life, but rather let it nurture your progression and help solidify your sense of self day by day. Thank you very much.